I just didn't give a shit.
Okay.
I didn't like the box. I didn't like the corporate world. I never thrived in a corporate environment. Why? Because of that very thing. Like, first of all, you're trying to tell me what to do, and what you're telling me to do is not the best way to do it. It's not the most logical way to do it. It's just stupid. And I was labeled as a troublemaker and, cancer almost. Like, well, in other words, like those employees that now are being celebrated as innovative and, entrepreneurial, and back in those days, they weren't celebrated. They were extricated.
Well,
is that a word?
Well, let's say that it is, and
they got cut out.
Excluded. You were excluded. So what's happened? Let's look at the macro. Like, what has been the effects of everything that we've been talking about here, Brad? You have populations of leaders that have followed the standardized traditional playbook for years. And then you have those who see the world a lot differently than the standardized playbook, and they want to do things their own way. So what do you have? You have a population that feels comfortable doing what they know. And you have another population
ostracized
that feels as if what matters to them isn't important. See, I call this standardization, where the institution defines the individual. And then you got personalization on the other side that is trying to actually redefine the business in search of a shared mission. So you've got people here that are anxious to actually contribute, add value, and they're excited about it. And then you got this other group over here that creates the environments that almost makes it impossible for the individual over here to contribute. Wait a second, that doesn't make sense. And these two forces, standardization and personalization, Brad, they actually need each other. And yet they're operating at the extremes. So what happens? The ones that are in the world of standardization, and that's all they know, and they're threatened by these individuals that want to contribute in their own way, they're holding people back. Which means what? We're actually at a time where we're losing opportunities. We're missing opportunities, because if you're still thinking as if you matter and your relevancy and has become obsolescent because you didn't evolve, how is that propelling and moving people forward? It's actually moving people backward. That's why I say, Brad, that if the baseline for growth is zero, most people, not all, but most, are operating at negative 60%. You're going to say, Glenn, how is that possible? Well, they're just trying to catch up to baseline. Imagine if you're in an environment that is telling you what to do, and the world is changing around you, and you're executing in a way to satisfy other people's egos and desires. Are you keeping up with the world around you? No.
Well, you just wouldn't do it in your job.
No, but if you're stuck in the box that you've been designated to, and you've been told to do what you've been asked to do inside the box you're given, and you become comfortable being in that box, can you really keep up with what's happening in the world around you? It's impossible.
Well, I think it's possible outside the job. In other words, if I come to work, they tell me, hey, don't get creative, don't get innovative, don't get smart, just freaking do what we tell you to do. Shut your pie hole. We don't need your advice. We just need your effort. Do what we tell you to do. Right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah. And by the way,
so I'm at work, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, whatever. And then I leave. Well, now I'm on my phone. I'm noticing AI. I'm starting to tinker with it. Like I'm not stuck individually because they're sticking me in the mud in my workplace.
Well, if you lose your identity, how do you even know how to see the opportunities when your identity's been shaped by the environment that you've been living in? So, yeah,
But I don't live at work.
No, but most people do, Brad. They take the work that they do during, well, it's not even 9 to 5 anymore. And they take what? You mentioned it earlier. They take their stress. They take their burnout. They take their suppression home with them. They never disconnect. In fact, let me give you an example of this. I worked with a client 3 years ago, and they had me work with their top leaders, and was working with this one individual. And I said to her, you know what, let's pretend that I'm authorizing you a month vacation. How would you feel? She looked at me and said, I would feel so stressed. And honestly, it took a while. Like, what do you mean you're going to feel stressed? She said, Glenn, I might be on vacation, but I'm concerned that my team members might make a mistake because they're not doing it the way I've told them to do it. And then I'm going to come back from vacation and I'm going to have a mess to look forward to. I mean, what a horrible way to live. So I share this because people think that this burnout and mental health and all these things are new. They're old. But we've finally have an opportunity to talk about it because everyone realizes that at some level, most people are dealing with those things. But yet we talk about these things as if they're novel, like, oh yes, our mental health. No, people have been suppressing things for years. What's finally happened is that personalization, because that's the age that we live in today, is the age of personalization has woken up and it's no longer afraid of standardization. It's challenging it.
And what is that causing business owners?
It's causing business owners to ask the question, am I ready to evolve, to be able to lead in a way where I actually have to care about what matters to my people? And they come back and say, well, come on, I'm the leader here. You do what I tell you to do. And by the way, I respect that. But if you have people that actually want to contribute, you're missing out on opportunity. Because what you do is you don't see them and know them. You see them for the job that they have. And then I asked the question, well, do you even know what their capacities are? Yeah, they're in supply chain. They're in marketing. I said, that doesn't tell you their capacities. That's what you've hired them to do. Do you know what they're capable of doing? Well, no, not really. I just know that they're in marketing and supply chain. You've already missed the opportunity.